Hello guys, this is Joystick9 here, and this video is specially for Nilla and Kailer, who are the two people who weren't able to attend the meeting, who I really wish could have. So, unfortunately, they weren't able to be there, not live in person, but they weren't able to be there in the meeting and ask questions live. So, that's unfortunate. However, it is just those two people, which is why we were able to carry out through the meeting, and so now I'm gonna make up for it by recording this video, and hopefully you guys can get all the benefit that you would have had going into the meeting. So afterwards, if you have any questions, just contact me, and I'll gladly answer any of them. So yeah, I'll just hop right in here. So this is a document I made for that will base this entire meeting around. So this is the Joystick 9 Bean Rose tour timeline. And basically what this is it is a mapping out of all the order of events that will lead up to the launch of the two tours with Joystick 9 and the Beanie Bros. So we'll go ahead and start reading. Now you'll notice there is something blurred. During the meeting, I kind of uh, moved around here and didn't let people see the fact that my album name is just right here in the open. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that out on screen for you guys. So anyways, yeah, and also the format in which you receive this video, it'll likely be a YouTube video. So anyways, let's just hop right in. This document must be confidential under those and part of the creation of this tour. Those who lay eyes or ears on this presentation shall not share any information contained unless permission is given by the director of their respective tour. This presentation will be used as a reference point to map the order of events leading up to the launch of the two tours led by Joseph Pope and Brody Shrimp. Joseph Pope is me. And I'm assuming you guys know who Brody Shrimp is. The information on this document does not directly apply to the Beanie Bros Safari Tour, which I recently just learned is actually the Explore Tour. So that's the only time I mention it, but oopsies. Yeah, it's the Explore Tour, not the Safari Tour. Creative liberties on the scheduling of the mentioned tour will be given to Brody Shrimp. Reading this will tell you all you need to know to prepare for what will be undergone while working for the Popetown Productions album name, TWW Tour. As you know, TWW is what it stands for. My album name has not yet been revealed. So for now, I'll reference it as TWW Tour. This will be done by separating the tour running journey into phases. 7 phases that each consistently take time from our workers to help build these shows. So I'll go ahead and move right along here. This is not a contract. This is simply for people to look over the document. Sorry. This is not a contract. This is simply for people to look over. The document will also be shared in a meeting, which I just completed yesterday. Everyone who does play their part in the tour will eventually have to sign a legal contract to assure their commitment. I will talk a lot more about that here in just a little bit. So yeah, we have 7 different phases that all kind of explain how we're going to do things. And this is not getting into the specific details because has really nothing to do with the conceptualizing of the tour. It has to do with the stuff going on behind the scenes. Like behind the scenes. So this is phase 1, the preparing phase. This is the phase that we're currently in right now, and the phase that started a couple of weeks ago actually. During this phase, we will develop the tools that are needed in order to make our desired tour possible. This is the single most difficult phase of the process. Though it will be a tough creator to overcome, it will help us significantly, as when we are done, it will assure us that we are ready to conceptualize and that our minds and resources are set on our goals. So we have a bunch of bullet points here for each phase. So during this phase, we will confirm our budget. Me and my mom are working on the budget right now. And I know for Brody's tour, it's kind of wishy-washy whether or not like whether or not he kind of can go because of budget reasons. And I can help for those of you in the Beanie Bros. I can help you with your budget. I could definitely contribute to that, but mostly that's going to be an independent thing done by him or something that's mostly done by you guys. But anyways, I could go on and on about that. So we'll confirm our budget at some point. Me and my mom were working on that. This is the part right here that is going to make phase 1 the hardest phase. This right here is what is going to make this phase super fucking difficult. So we are gonna confirm who will be attending the performances of the tour, as well as running the tour. This does not include crew people. So basically, it sounds super simple and it sounds nothing, but in reality, this is the part that's gonna take a while. That's probably Honestly, I could believe that this might last until the end of the year. We have to confirm what musicians are going to be playing this tour and what musicians are not. It sounds super easy to figure out, but really, like, it's hard to explain. So like, I'm currently looking for a trumpet player to play with me on tour, and my drummer, who has worked with me for a year now, he says he's not able to go on the tour, so I have to find a replacement drummer for 7 shows. So all that's difficult. Not to mention I have to figure out, is Kailer coming? Is Nilla coming? Is Jack coming? Which he's probably not. Is Phoenix coming? I have to figure out all that. But as soon as that's over, then the rest of phase one will slide right out of us, and then the rest of the phases are easier than this. And this does not include crew people, though that's later. That's in a later phase. Share this document with those who we believe may participate. Now, this is kind of, we've already kind of done this. We can already check this off the list. So these bullet points, these are just things on the checklist that we have to check off. These are different things that, if we complete all the things that are listed on these bullets, then then that phase is done. Then we can move on to the next thing. It's as simple as that. It's not always easy to do that. Anyways, I'll keep moving through. We'll seek out locations and venues. Done. That has already been done. I might actually go ahead and reveal to you. I have my phone here because I don't want you guys to see all my shit. I have a list of all our desired venues in this moment of time. It says seek out locations, venues, not confirm them. This is what we have on our mind so far. But we have sucked them out. That sounds weird. We did seek them out. So here is the list of our tour locations thus far. And there's 7 shows. Dallas, Texas at the Bomb Factory. Phoenix, Arizona at the Van Buren. Denver, Colorado at the Marquee Theater. Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Vanguard. Kansas City, Missouri at the Midland Theater. Chicago, Illinois at the Metro. And Raleigh, North Carolina at the Ritz. And after all that, if we have any more money in our budget, we'll see if we could do a second Tulsa show. So do with that information what you will. Confirm what equipment is required in order for our shows to work. So I'll actually circle back to this. Just keep this part in mind. All right. Confirm what equipment is required in order for our show to work. I'll kind of go into that into more detail. Actually, just here in a little bit. These are not the blueprints of the tour, but more so the paper that the blueprints are written on. So you have to keep in mind, this is the phase we're in right now. This is different from the next phase. This is not really where we're conceptualizing, not really where we're planning, okay, what does our tour look like? What effects will we use? None of that is really happening during phase one, which I honestly predicted it'll last until at least just maybe the end of this month, all right, at the very earliest. During this phase, we're just giving ourselves the materials, the tools that are required. We're giving ourselves what we need in order to start conceptualizing. So we can't start conceptualizing, we can't start planning this and that until we have all this, if that makes sense. Let's go on to phase 2. This is the conceptualizing phase. This one I'll spend less time on. So the conceptualizing phase / the planning phase, as the name suggests, this phase will be used to conceptualize the show that we are playing and plan all the development around it. During this phase, we will create the set list. I already have a rough idea of the set list, but it's definitely not set in stone. Confirm what jobs we will need to help run the show. So what employees do we need? So a few random examples: the curtain puller, the running crew. If you ever heard of that's the people who run on stage and hand me my guitar, stuff like that. Or sound guy, stuff like that. That is regarding employees. Confirm what employees we need. Now, okay, so I said I'd spend less time on this. I thought this was a phase 3 thing, but yeah, it is phase 2. Confirm our needed inventory. Now, I have a friend. His name is Sawyer. He is the drummer that I mentioned earlier in this video. And he plays a lot of shows. He's working with a group that they do a show. They do at least one show about every month. So he is super used to this kind of thing. And in his professional opinion, he says there are 3 things that you need to get confirmed before you can even really start planning a show. Or like before you play the show. If that makes sense. Three things. You need songs, or sometimes he refers to it as the set list, inventory, and budget. So that's kind of out of order. Budget, songs, and inventory. The budget, of course, obviously is the budget. The songs or the set list basically is just learn the songs and know what order you're playing them in. And then three is inventory. Now, inventory here, confirm our needed inventory, is different from confirm what equipment is required in order for our show to work. So what this means, confirm what equipment is required for our show to work. What I mean by that is no matter what our show ends up being, no matter what effects we use, no matter what theatrics we have, no matter what it looks like when it finally meets the stage, we will, no, whatever type of show we're doing, we need these things. So examples are mics, amplifiers, the venues themselves, like some obvious things that should be given. But we have to think, okay, does the venue provide this, or do we need to buy it, or does someone I know already have it? Like, we need. I have a whole list of those. Give me 1 second to pull that up, and I will run this by Brody to confirm it, and then that's another thing we could check off the list. Let's see, equipment plan tour. Yeah, cables and cords are instruments, are instrument extensions, which is basically like tuners, pedals, anything like that. Yeah, stuff like that. So stuff like that the show, no matter what it is, the show could not live without. And so what I mean by inventory, that's kind of a term that gets thrown around a lot. But really all it means is just stuff that's unique to our tour. And that's kind of the way it's separated. It's all the equipment, all the props, all of the stuff that we're bringing with us for each show that makes the show what it is. So one random example, I had a conception, I had an idea for like part of the show where I'm inside a giant fish tank. A giant fish tank is not required for our show to work. It's just an extension that that decorates the tour, I hope that makes sense, because that's something you should keep in mind. So at some point we will need to make a giant list of all of the inventory that we need. And that's going to be kind of difficult because as I'm sure you guys know, my shows are super, super intricate, require a lot of work, require a lot of equipment. So if I'm doing an entire tour, doing an entire hour-and-a-half long show, we're going to need a lot. But yeah, and there will be a lot of deciding, okay, do I buy this online, or like do I, because like honestly, the budget for this tour, I'm like, me and my mom, we're holding on by a thread. We're going to need to be super conservative. We need a lot. We need to save a lot of money for not only our video wall that I really plan to get, but also the venues themselves, which can get really fucking expensive. So we really need to be conservative on what we're spending our budget on. So for that reason, now if there's something in our inventory that we need, I might check in with you guys and be like, hey, do you have a giant fish tank that I could fill? But anyways, so yeah, we have to be tentative with what we're deciding to buy and what we're not. Confirm the location of rehearsals and equipment testing. Now, equipment testing and this entire bullet point, confirm the location of rehearsals and equipment testing. What exactly does that imply? I'll actually get to that in a later phase. Create show date schedule and confirm desired venues. So after this, the venues that we want to play should be set in stone. Most of these things will be done through a meeting with the entire TWW tour faculty. Notice how I said faculty, not the crew. But at this time, we have not hired any employees or anything. Faculty just means all the musicians, and by then, this is a very, very low chance this will happen. But if we hire a tour manager, if we hire any type of manager or anyone else to come along that's not exactly a crew person, then that's they're a part of the faculty. So they'll have to be in meetings that confirm the employees that we need and our inventory. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Phase 3 is the action phase. During this phase, we will take what we have planned and secure it so that our thoughts are brought into reality. This is when we are actually physically developing the show. At this point, we're taking our tools and building the house starting from the bottom. So, yeah, basically, all the planning that we're doing, all the conceptualizing we're doing, we're starting to apply it into real life. It's no longer stuff that's in our head or on a notebook, stuff that can be right in front of us. So during this phase, we will create backing tracks, begin gathering inventory. So begin buying stuff, begin putting stuff in storage. We'll book our venues, begin officially hiring employees. Contractually, okay, this is important. I put this one in bold. We are going to contractually obligate the participants of the tour, including our employees, and yeah, every musician, every employee, everyone who's playing a part in this tour will eventually, at one point or another, during phase 3, have to sign a legal contract that binds you to this tour. So that way, when the time comes that we're about to go to Dallas, Texas, Phoenix can't say, never mind, I don't want to go, I quit. Yeah, he can't do that if he signs a legal contract. So that's why we're doing that, because we don't want that to happen. And of course, there's a whole thing, a whole document we can make about what would it mean if you're not able to play a show, which would get you the pass to not play one show on the tour. Now, while I was presenting this during the meeting, Phoenix had a question that was, are these contracts going to be for the entire tour itself? Are you going to be contractually obligated to the tour just as a traveling across the United States ordeal? Or is it going to be a contractual obligation to each show? So will this contract be applied to each show? So we have to work that out for 7 different states across the United States. And the answer to that is it is a legal contract for the entire tour as a whole. So yeah, as it's like I was trying to think of an analogy. We're thinking about it as the entire tree as opposed to all these different tiny little leaves on the tree. So hopefully if you guys had questions similar to that should help. Anyways, I'll keep moving on. We'll decide upon given royalties. What's our split and how much money we make per show. Secure the form in which royalties are given. And I'm currently talking with someone. I'm currently working with someone who can probably help me set up a ticket system. But that's something we'll have to think about during phase 3. Are we gonna have it? Are we gonna have a ticket system, or are we gonna have to resort to the tip jar? And guys, I mean, a tip jar is nice if you're playing if I'm playing a restaurant or something like that, and there's not a lot of shit going on stage. But if I'm flying around and all these effects are going on and we have to focus on one thing or another, that tip jar is doomed. So if we have to do a tip jar, we'll have to play it by ear how we're gonna prevent that thing from getting knocked off stage. And also it's less professional and all that. Also another thing we could do is we could hire somebody to collect money at the door. So yeah. And then plan tour promotion. So basically, we'll have to start planning how are we going to promote this tour. Just literally online. How are we going to advertise this tour? Once this phase is done, we will not allow any new employees or performers to work for the TWW tour. At phase 4 and beyond, we should have every job that we need in order for our show to run. Phase 4 is the molding phase. Now, I can understand why this could get confusing because phase 4 is pretty similar to phase 3, so I'm going to try and explain it the best I can, but I can imagine it's easy to mix the two up, so hopefully I could get away with those two being kind of similar things. So I'm sorry, but they are different. They serve different purposes, but anyways, let me just go into it. During phase 4, our tour should be official. The shows that we're playing shall be confirmed and booked. This is our time to apply what we have to the show and turn it into what we want it to be. This will probably be my favorite part of the show development. This is when we turn a stage full of people playing songs into a show with a performance that can sell out tickets. We set up our performance piece by piece. This phase is when we will use our area to test out tour equipment and rehearse, so at a warehouse, public venue, etc. We will build a production of the tour and mold it into the final product that audiences will view. So this is what I was talking about when I said I would come back to the whole equipment testing and rehearsal, where that's going on. So, believe it or not, gone are the days where during a show like this that has a bunch of crazy production, I can do the rehearsal exclusively at my house or at my mom's house. That's really no longer something I could do. Actually, a couple weeks ago when I was playing the Harvest Festival for Owasso, for the first time ever, I rehearsed at the venue because it's a public venue, so I was able to do that. Public venue is an option on the table. We are most likely to do a warehouse, a nice big warehouse with tons of room, like probably a fresh one, but if we could find an already used one that we can borrow that has enough room, we can settle for that. But something like that we could set up all our stuff and rehearse the show, test out equipment, because, yeah, I mean, really, my bedroom is not big enough. My bedroom is not close enough to the stage to where we could accurately rehearse and then be ready for the first show in Dallas, Texas. That's just not going to work. So we find a warehouse, and then that's where rehearsals will be done, and that's where the video wall we're going to set up. We're going to figure out how the video wall works. I know I'm kind of yapping, but it's all necessary. So during this phase, we will put our gathered inventory into use. So all this shit that we're buying, all of our inventory that we've gathered, we'll finally start applying it and testing and stuff. And testing is something that will probably go on before rehearsals. We'll begin individual song rehearsals, just me by myself, right? So you guys don't have to worry about individual rehearsals, and we'll train our crew. Now, during this phase, it is recommended that all performers start practicing their set list of songs. So, I mean, not to say you can't do it, definitely not to say you can't do this sooner, and not to say that you can't do it later. It's my recommendation that at this point you should have started kind of practicing all the songs, because even though we have 3 phases left to go over, well, actually, during phase 5, I'll kind of explain more why you really want to be practicing a lot, and that should be a given. But I don't know, some people just need a little encouragement in their life. Phase 5 is the rehearsal phase. This is a long paragraph. There probably isn't much explanation needed here. I like to say that there are 2 types of rehearsal when rehearsing the entire show. So there is individual song rehearsals, but if we're talking beginning to end, there are 2 types of rehearsals in my eyes. Song rehearsals and full rehearsals. So song rehearsals are simply rehearsing the songs by themselves. It's as simple as that. We get into a room and we play the songs the way that we're going to live. All right? Literally nothing else. And those should be done first. Those should be done before full rehearsals. And it should be done first so that you and the team are 100% comfortable with performing the songs. We should know each song inside out, and to the point where every person can easily work together to make the song flow perfectly. This will make it so that the complex production and special effects can be inserted without getting in the way of the performance. So, and it's just, I can't explain enough how important it is that when we have all this production going on stage, it is important that the song we're playing is drilled into our head, that it feels like nothing. Like, we could just turn our brain off, and then we direct our focus to, okay, what's my next cue? What do I do next? That, not regarding the actual song. At that point, we should have practiced the song enough times that it's like singing your ABCs, you know. So that way, when I'm flying on stage, you don't get distracted. You're used to that. You're used to playing the song, and now you can put your attention to more exciting things. Full rehearsals are when you run through the entire show the exact way that is planned to when it meets the stage. Every cue should be included, every effect should be hit. During phase 5, every participant of the tour should meet in person to do these. So, yeah, and I'm talking about song rehearsals and full rehearsals. So during phase 5, it's not. We don't even really have a rough idea as to when phase 5 will be, but whatever point this is. At that point, every member of the Beanie Bros who's not in Oklahoma, which is every member except me, you guys are going to have to go on a plane or go in your car and travel all the way to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and meet at my warehouse, and then do these rehearsals. Because if we're planning to do the tour, we should be prepared to meet in person anyway, so that shouldn't really be a big problem if you're even wanting to do this tour. During this phase, we will meet together in the same location in person, rehearse the show, and practice everyone's cues, and then we'll have a fucking blast. Phase 6 is the transportation phase. Now, this phase will likely be the least important phase, but still one that should be included and one that should be noted. This phase will be used to take our inventory that is in storage and elsewhere and get it ready to be hauled across the country. It is unclear at the moment what mode of transportation inventory will travel in, so whether or not it's in our tour bus, in a van, in a U-Haul, stuff like that. What's more important than all of that is that this phase is when every participant in the TWW tour should make sure that everything they wish to bring is packed away and kept in storage. So if Kailer, if at this point, because at this point we're about to play our first show in Dallas, Texas, at that point Kailer can't go, hey, can I bring my Nintendo Switch? If he asks that, I'm gonna be like, no, Kailer, you should have packed your Nintendo Switch a little while ago, because now you can't bring it. Just to avoid confusion. So everything you want to bring, you should have it ready by now. It's packed away and kept in storage. This is everyone's time to double check and make sure that they have all that they need. After stage 6 is done, nobody may choose to bring any show equipment other than what is packed. This is also the shortest phase. During this phase, we will pack equipment, store equipment, and confirm every piece of inventory that will be used. Right? This will be done shortly before we hit the road and take the ride to our first show. And you notice I started writing a sentence here that never got finished. Another oopsie. And finally, we have Phase 7, which is the touring phase. Every single phase and step before this has all led up to Phase 7. This is the process of traveling to 7 different states and playing the shows that are being headlined. These shows will be performances, the performances that our audience sees and will have been advertised for a long time. This is the final product that we will be building towards since the day that this document gets shared. When Phase 7 is finished, the tour is done. So during this phase, we will travel to touring locations, run through the show at the venue the night before. Sorry, I'm out of brain shit. And play the shows, and then we'll kick some fucking ass. Now, I want to talk just for a little bit about we're going to run through the show at the venue the night before. It's not exactly common practice to do this, but I think we should. I think it's an underrated thing to run through the show at the venue the night before, especially if we're having a video wall and we're having all these cues and all these props, all that. Like, if any of you seen AJR live, I don't even think they do it, but I think it's something. It's going to take a little more money out of our budget, but I think why it's so important is that there is a big beauty in live shows that even big artists like Taylor Swift, they have to deal with this, that every venue is not built the same. Even arenas that Taylor Swift are playing. I think the Eras Tour is still going on right now, so she's probably played hundreds of shows at this point. Every single arena that she steps foot in that she hasn't already played in. So every other night, she walks into a completely different arena with a completely different layout with, like, and I say completely different, like, it's, a lot of times it is, like, slight differences, but really, you're stepping onto a new ground, and you're stepping onto a ground that you probably haven't been in before if we're talking arenas. Now, that is less of a problem when we're playing this level of shows, but still, my point still stands. Every other night for this time that we're doing this show, we are stopping at a new venue that we have to get used to. And I think all that it will take is one rehearsal where we could get to know the space, get comfortable with where we are. Because honestly, it may not seem like it, but it affects the way that we flow when we're in a different space. It's kind of stupid, but I don't know. Again, I'm kind of yapping, but I think this is all stuff I think we should know. Bonus phase. So this is the last thing I'll go over. We have a bonus phase, which is the documentation phase. I'm so tired of talking. This phase is not technically part of the tour itself, but I really want to include it. It also isn't technically a phase, because the documentation phase will be going on nearly the entire process of the building of the show. It will start during Phase 3 and will continue until after the end of the tour. This will consist of somebody in the touring team filming significant events of the making of this tour. After we are done touring, I will gather the footage that we have and use it to create a TWW tour documentary. During this phase, we will film during meetings, rehearsals, etc., and edit footage into a long documentary that will be uploaded to YouTube. This document will be shared with a small selection of people and will hopefully get shared enough to leave Popetown Productions with a team of people who are just as eager to bring this show to life as us. So anyways, that's it. Yeah, that is the document. That is the extent of our timeline of events. I know it's a lot of information. I don't exactly expect you to leave this video going, all right, yeah, I'm 100% ready. I have everything I need. It's a lot. It's a lot of information that I'm sure you'll have to look back at multiple times. But this is the skeleton of our tour. This is basically our work for the next half a year put onto a piece of digital paper. So, anyways, do with all this as you will. Again, I might send this to you as a YouTube video. If I can figure out another way. If that doesn't work, I can see if I can find another way. But anyways, let's also hope that my mic was on, because this is a 30-minute video so far, and if for some reason my audio got disconnected, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. But anyways, so yeah, I hope you find this useful, and yeah, this is the beginning of the TWW and the Explorer Tour. Thank you.